Cruise ships are subject to unannounced inspections twice a year by the CDC's Vessel Sanitation program. All cruise ships need a score of 86 or higher to be considered satisfactory. Now, while some cruise ships over the last year had a perfect score of 100, unfortunately, one cruise ship failed miserably. Here's what happened next. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, if you're planning a cruise, you might be curious about what are the cleanest cruise ships and what are those that are the dirtiest, at least according to the CDC's Vessel Sanitation program. Now, to give you a little bit of background on this, cruise ships are all subject to unannounced inspections twice a year by the CDC's Vessel Sanitation program. This is a program that's been going on since the 1990s. Now, cruise ships do need a minimum score of 86, so the standard is pretty high. And I do have some good news. There are several cruise ships that actually have a perfect score of 100, and many more cruise ships, the majority, that have between 90 and the high 90s. And almost all cruise ships score 90 and above. Now, it is really rare, almost unheard of, for a cruise ship with any major cruise line to actually fail inspection, and it did happen to one cruise ship over the last year. Now, I am going to share with you what happened next, but I also thought it would be interesting to go through the list of what cruise ships actually had a perfect score. I was happy to see some of the cruise ships that I have sailed on over the last year were on that list, and also which cruise ships passed but did have those lower ratings. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. So firstly, here's a little bit of information about the CDC's Vessel Sanitation program, what they're looking at, and how cruise ships are scored. Now, by the way, all of this information can be found on the CDC's website, and you can even find specific reports for specific ships. Vessel sanitation inspections generally occur twice a year when the cruise ship is in a U.S. port. According to the CDC website, 2 to 5 inspectors will board, examine the ship to see that it complies with the public health standards in the current Vessel Sanitation Operations Manual. Inspections can take about 6 to 8 hours, depending on the size of the ship and the number of issues they find. Now, the areas that they look at include the medical facilities, so that includes medical logs and documentation when it comes to gastrointestinal illnesses. It includes the potable water systems, the swimming pools, and the hot tubs, so that includes the filtration systems and the disinfection, the galley and the dining rooms, the child activity centers, the hotel accommodations or the cabins, the ventilation systems, and the common areas around the cruise ship. Now, I was very curious about how the cruise ships are scored and what happens if there are infractions or even if a cruise ship fails. Could they receive a no sail order? So as I mentioned, cruise ships are scored on a scale of 100. And 86 or higher is considered a passing score. Anything else is actually a fail. So the bar is really set high. So what happens next? Well, cruise ships are required to correct any violations that are found during the inspection, and all critical violations must be corrected immediately. Now, there is a follow-up. All cruise ships have to submit a corrective action statement with a description of how they have corrected the violation that was found. Now, what happens if a cruise ship fails inspection? Are they going to have a no sail recommendation or a no sail order? No, not necessarily. And that's actually very rare. That only happens in the case of really a disease outbreak or something that would really be imminent that could affect the public health. Now, of course, it is taken seriously not only by the CDC, but also by the cruise line. And the CDC's Vessel Sanitation program will re-inspect that cruise ship within a shorter amount of time. Now, beyond their reputation, there is a cost to cruise lines to have this inspection. The prices range from just under $1,500 for very small vessels to almost $25,000 to those super mega cruise ships. So the cruise ships that probably were likely sailing on, the cruise ships that range between 60,000 tons to 120,000 tons are considered extra large, and the cost right now, according to the CDC website, is $11,960 for the inspection. For cruise ships that range between 120,000 tons to 140,000 tons, those are considered mega cruise ships. The cost is $17,940. And for the super mega cruise ships, which are 140,000 tons and more, it is $23,920. So how did cruise ships fare over the last year? Well, over the last year, we had 30 cruise ships that got a perfect score. I am going to share those 30 with you because I do think that it is something to recognize. I'm sure even for the crew on board those cruise ships, they are very proud, and they should be. There were also, well, there was one failing cruise ship. I'm going to share with you what happened after that. And there were 4, I guess we could call them lower scores of between 86 and 89 that are really under the 90, which is really considered like the gold standard. So I did print out this list here of the perfect scores. This is again available all on the CDC website. I will, by the way, leave a link down below this video to all of the resources that I am mentioning. But amazing scores: Oceana Vista 100, Jewel of the Seas, Celebrity Summit, Norwegian Bliss, Norwegian Sun, Carnival Conquest, Carnival Venezia, Bravo, Celebrity Eclipse, Mariner of the Seas, Oceana Regatta, Celebrity Solstice, Eurodam Holland America, Celebrity Edge, Norwegian Joy, Fantastic, Disney Fantasy, Silver Moon, Holland America's Rotterdam, Norwegian Pearl, Oceana Riviera, Carnival Sunshine, Allure of the Seas, MSC Seascape, Celebrity Millennium, Carnival Celebration, Disney Wonder, Carnival Panorama, Disney Magic, Wonder of the Seas, Carnival Magic, and Disney Wish. Bravo to all of these cruise ships that had a perfect score of 100. Now, as much as it's great to hear about the perfect scores and those that performed really well, I'm sure you probably also want to know about those cruise ships that had those lower scores. So between 86 and 89, so really under that 90. But first, let's talk about the one cruise ship that did fail. It made really big news over the last year, and I will tell you some of the infractions that were found. So what is the cruise ship that failed? It is the MSC Seaside. Now, the MSC Seaside failed with a 67, which is really virtually unheard of. I think it might be one of the absolute lowest scores in the history of the CDC's vessel sanitation program, according to different articles that I read. But in any case, the report is all there on the CDC's website. According to some of the things that I read in the report, it was actually pretty bad, some of the things that they found. So they found that restrooms and hand washing stations lacked soap. There were counters that were soiled with food residue. There was dirty dinnerware, dirty glassware, and dirty buckets that were located throughout the pantry. The dishwashers seemed overfilled and not to be working well. And one of the worst incidents, at least when you are reading about it, is an incident that happened with a crew member, and basically hamburger blood, handling hamburger meat, and then not washing hands, touching door handles, things like that. Now, this was corrected exactly at the time that it was found by not only the inspector, but also management that had everything cleaned and had, of course, that crew member go and wash properly. But in any case, these were some of the infractions that were found, and that resulted in a 67 score. Now, that original inspection was done on April 27, 2023. Of course, there was a follow-up reinspection that was done July 17, 2023. And I'm happy to report things were much improved. They now have a score of 92. So if you are sailing on the MSC Seaside, you can rest easy. They have improved. Now, having cruised for many years, I have to say all of the areas that I ever see as a passenger look very, very clean. I often see the crew cleaning a lot. Please let me know what your experience has been in the comments below. Now, I did want to share with you the 4 cruise ships that were on the lower end of those ratings. That includes the Norwegian Epic. They had a score of 89. Now, keeping in mind, all of the rest of Norwegian's cruise ships were above 90, even into the high 90s and 100. Margaritaville at Sea, 87. Now, have you been on Margaritaville at Sea? Please let me know your experiences if you had in the comments below. Carnival Pride with a score of 86 and the Carnival Liberty with a score also of 86, but they have redeemed themselves because in a re-inspection after that, they did score 93. And also with Carnival, they have several cruise ships that are in the mid to high 90s and even have some 100s. Now, I am curious, would you take into account a cruise ship or even cruise line scores when it comes to the vessel sanitation program? Would you take that into account when you are booking a cruise? Please let me know yes or no down in the comments below. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video and maybe found it helpful or interesting. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now and happy cruising.